Hello, right, okay. So, if you've been following along with this ST, it's getting to a little bit more of an exciting time. If not, a quick recap. I've got a Fiesta ST150 that I've turbocharged, and I've been going through and sorting out any mechanical little niggles that I've had on the car with the aim to turn up the boost. So yeah, with all those little things out of the way, the car is now driving really nicely. So the first thing to turn up the boost is actually to lower the wastegate spring. Now there is a reason for that, but I'll just quickly, I say quickly, but I'll just change this spring over, and then I can look at moving on to the next thing. Right, so for those who don't know and aren't familiar with this car, the wastegate is right down the back here. So I've had to take off all of the cowling, strut brace, turbo blanket, and we can just about see the top of it there. Now, I've had it on and off several times in the past. It's been an absolute nightmare. Normally I've got to take this downpipe off and wiggle it out, but I just thought I'd show you, if you didn't know, that's where it's located on this car. So yeah, I'm gonna carry on now and just take it apart. So I remember why I've been putting it off for so long. Absolute ball ache to do, but it's now out. That is where it sits. You see, it's not a screamer pipe. That pipe goes back into the exhaust, so it's all rigid, which makes everything that little bit more difficult when trying to do it. But anyway, it's out. Already started to take it apart. So the springs in there, they were rated for 14.5 psi, and I was hitting 14.5 psi. So I'm confident that if I choose the right spring, I'll get the right target, because the last thing I want to be doing is taking this apart again. Right, so I am aiming for 10 psi. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, I'll figure out which spring it is. I'll reassemble this and have the joy of chucking it back in the car. So with the wastegate apart, I had a red and black spring in there, targeting 14.5 psi, which I was hitting basically exactly. So according to the charts, now I need a red and a green spring, and that should give me just over 10 psi. So I'm going to get this all fitted, get it back in the car, cry a little bit because of the amount of pain in the ass it is, but let's give it a go anyway. Let's get this back in, get it back together. Right, so that is now back together. Horrible job. I hope there's no issues with it. I've just left the turbo blanket off so I can check for leaks. So I may have not made it very clear, but the reason I've lowered the spring in the wastegate is because I've basically got no traction in sort of second gear. First gear, I'm considering a fairly decent write-off, front wheel drive over 300 horsepower. But second gear, it'd be nice actually to put some power to the ground. And at the wastegate spring pressure of a bar, it couldn't do it. So I've lowered it down, and it is now hitting 10 psi at the flat line pressure. So with the mechanical spring changed, it's now time to look at the electronic side of it. Now I have already got a Max style 3-port valve all plumbed in and wired in. I did that originally when I built the car and made the wiring because I knew I would need it in the future. So that is all in, plumbed, ready to go. There are a few things that I want electronically. One of which is I want road speed in the ECU. Now, I have road speed to my dashboard via the original Ford CAN bus. However, the CAN bus from the ECU to the dash and the CAN bus or the speed from the dash to the ABS unit are different. So I can't run the ABS directly into the ECU. So what I've had to do is write some CAN bus to allow the dash to act as like a central hub. So it will receive the data in from the ABS to the dash. The dash will then send it via CAN bus to the ECU. Now, CAN bus still boggles my mind. I'm hoping I've got that working, but I need to load up the data into the ECU, flash it with the new map, and the same with the dash. So hopefully then the ECU will have road speed of all four wheels to be able to apply that into a boost strategy. The reason I want the ECU to know the road speed is because I can set up a boost by gear in the ECU, so I can limit the boost from first, second, third, fourth gears. I can choose what boost I want to run, essentially. So I can limit the power first and second gears, and then as we go up third, fourth gears, I can actually see what this thing's made of. Okay, so first things first, let's get this map loaded up into the ECU and into the dash, and then we'll see if we can pick up wheel speed by the CAN bus, because that will be something I've been dreading. So let's have a go at that, and I will report back, let you know how it was got on. So you may not be able to see this because the sun is on the screen, but I'm still getting my readings in the dash of miles per hour by spinning the wheel. And then in the screen here, well, no, the glare is too much, but I am getting a reading. However, it doesn't appear to be the right reading, so there might be some scaling I need to address on this one. But I'm at least getting messages, so that is good, and I'll test that further when I get out on the road. So the next step involves one of these little guys. This is a rotary switch. Now this has got 8 different positions which I can select, which will allow me to adjust my boost duty cycle as I'm driving along. So wet and windy weather, turn it down to 0, no boost control, wastegate pressure, and I should maybe have traction. On the other hand, I can have nice sunny weather, turn it out to the max, and we can see what the car really does. So this will allow me to adjust it on the fly with, well, no problems at all. It requires 3 wires, a 5 volt, a ground, and a signal wire that will feed back to the ECU. And then in the ECU, in turn, I need to set up the table, which will allow me to adjust from the different boost values. That might be a bit tricky for me to film, so I'm not sure if I'll show you all of the setup in the ECU. Let me know if there's something that you want to see. But this, yeah, so I need to get this in the dash now, get it mounted somewhere out the way, I think, and get it wired into the ECU. Okay, so I'm now just trying to work out where I want to put this switch. Now, I could potentially put it in the dash, just drill some holes. However, there is no easy access behind this dash. It's all sealed off and panelled, so it would mean removing all of the sort of face. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a nightmare. So I might not do that. And also, I'd rather not drill the dash if I can get away with it. So that's probably going to be out of the question. I was tempted to remove the boot switch, which currently isn't working anyway, but I was potentially could put it there, and that would be a nice place for it. But what I think I'm going to do is mount it down near the gear stick, next to the power outlet, which would be sat roughly about there. It's out the way, not going to hit anything, obviously easy to access just while driving along. So I think that's probably where it's going to live. Let me know what you think. Where would you mount it? Would you mount it up on the dashboard? Would it bother you drilling holes and having to remove the whole lot to get to it? Would you remove a switch, or maybe down by the light switch here? Let me know. Okay, so first off, this switch, as you can see, there's no multi-plug or wiring on this switch. So what I need to do is, you can see we've got some little outlets there. I need to put in some fly leads into there. I'll probably get a connector like this one and just attach it on. So then when I can just put another connector obviously onto the other side to the ECU. It's not hardwired in, and I can remove it as and when I probably decide to change the location of it. So yeah, I'm going to get some wires soldered into these three here, and then in with the plug. So I've changed location slightly. I was going to run the switch down near this power outlet, but I decided to tuck it away a little bit. You'll see it when it's back in the car. I do need to trim the center console on the car a little bit to allow the wires to move through here nicely. They do fit, but I'll give it as much room as I can. So I'm going to do that now. I can get this back fitted, and I'll wire in the wires to the ECU, and I will show you the end result. So final location, just tucked away down there. So it's still perfectly accessible, but when you're sat in the car, it's not obvious that there's something extra going on. So yeah, that's where it is. It's all wired in. The 5V, I actually put in a connector to allow me to put more sensors in or switches in the future if I need to. So that's it. We're getting close. I've got all the hardware installed now in the car. So all that's left for me to do is to write all the software onto the new map, load it in, and we can take it out for a drive. We can see what the thing actually does. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. I'm going to leave it here for this video, mainly because the battery on the car has actually died. So I'm going to have to get that replaced. And then next time we'll take it out and we'll see what it can do. Cheers then.